Hey friends, this is Andy here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Slightly Off Script, the marriage podcast. Bethany and I are so grateful for the opportunity to be able to share these podcast episodes. Let me be candid with you. Life is very full for us right now. We just came off of running a conference. We're heading into leading worship this weekend for another event, and then Bethany's speaking the week after that. And we just had some family arrive, which we absolutely love. And so with this holiday weekend here, we decided to take a quick breather from recording a new episode this week. And instead, we went back and looked, and we found one of our top downloaded podcasts, which is about navigating marriage differences. Whether this is new to you or this is a re-listen, we think this is one of the most important conversations that we have had in the over 30 episodes of the Slightly Off Script podcast.
Welcome to Slightly Off Script, the marriage show where we remind you that marriage can be stupid good and wicked fun. I'm one of your hosts, Bethany Needham, here with my snow-dazed buddy, Andy Needham.
I'm hoping by the time this releases that there are like trees in bloom and the ground's all dried out and mud season is all over.
I've actually given up on following whatever rules there are in the podcast.
It's a nice summer day. We're not that far ahead.
Well, you know what? With all the curtains closed, it can be whatever we say it is, because who knows? But I'm definitely dressed for a snow day.
Yes.
I got my toque, or as you Americans call it, what do you call it?
A beanie?
Oh, beanie. That's such a dumb
or a
word.
hat. A toque? Do you know why they call it a toque?
No.
Canada?
Did you ask those questions when you were a child? Why do you call it a beanie?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just grew up calling it that, and it just will always be that. So we're recording. We have this episode that kind of the idea honestly came to me doing a marriage devotional. So I've been doing this marriage devotional in the mornings, which
It's a devotional that focuses on marriage. You're not like worshiping marriage.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody understood that, but I just wanted to make sure.
You just wanted to make it sound like, okay,
yeah.
That's fair. But no, they were talking about this idea of differences and in relationships, how oftentimes, especially in relationships, I'm talking like when you meet, dating early on, the differences are one of the things that can draw us to one another. But if we're not careful, differences can be something that we can start to resent or get frustrated with and all of that. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, I thought we could kick this baby off by I thought I meant you thought, and I'm acting like it was my thought.
That's how this works.
Kick this bad boy off by sharing. Let's give something that we're really enjoying in this season and something that we are not enjoying in this, like a negative.
Yep.
So I want to hear what are you enjoying most in this season?
Yeah, I want to just caution the listeners that these are not going to be profound, or at least maybe yours are. Mine are not. Mine are very like.
No, were they supposed to be profound?
I just want to make sure that
Okay.
like the expectation is the bar is low. That way, when I just like barely get over it.
That's true. I did kind of intro it like we were going to give.
These are life changing. This is not like Oprah's list of Christmas things or something like that.
No.
Right? No.
Not everyone's getting a car from this.
Yeah.
But it could, maybe they'll take the thing that we like and be like, I want to try that. I don't know what yours is though. So.
All right. So the thing that I like and I've been digging making sort of like taco bowls at home.
Oh.
Yes. Sort of like the Chipotle, which I think this is like the second episode this month that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Chipotle
should. It'd be great if they could sponsor us right when the one near my work opens up.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Get some free Chipotle.
But I kind of enjoyed, like, we're kind of experimenting, and then this week I had like a DoorDash half off thing, so I like got groceries delivered, which was kind of cool. And I tried Aldi, and for some reason they had these like carnitas pork. And it was it was stupid easy to make. It was literally like stick in microwave for 90 seconds, which is not usually my jam. So I was skeptical if it'd be any good, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really tasty.
Like, it's on the list now.
And we just made like, I would put some jasmine rice, some of that carnita pork, some cheese, salsa, guacamole. We were feeling rich that night. It was amazing. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
That's been something that I'm And now I think that's what we're going to have to make for dinner tonight. Not the carnitas, because I don't have any more of that.
Yeah, I definitely ate up all the carnita. My bad.
That's good.
Okay, so I guess staying in the food sort of department, I'm throwing out that one of the things I'm really enjoying in this season, as in winter, it's cold. I've been craving like warm drinks, and I no longer can just drink coffee all day long. That is not a thing. And I sometimes want regular tea, but you found this broth tea. It's like a fa, is that how you say it? Like fa broth tea. And
Yeah, bro.
yeah, fa. I can't. I'm not going to.
It's-
But it's so good. I was also pretty skeptical
Yeah.
just because I was like, is this going to be too watery? But it's delicious. It's literally like drinking this warm cup of broth. And you make it just like tea. It's a little tea bag. You put it in. So I'm really enjoying that.
That was one of those things that I think you were in the throes of the flu, and I was just like trying to pick up things like kind of a care package, and I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting."
Yeah.
So
No,
that
that's
was
a
win.
winner.
That was
All
a win.
right.
I have another one though. You kind of we're gonna stay on the food thing, but you have kind of helped me orient towards different like ways to get protein. So you really like the protein yogurts and like different protein shakes. I'm a little bit like I can do a protein shake, but I'm not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
However, barbells of
Oh,
protein
my
bars.
word.
So
Yes.
I've tried a lot of protein bars that you have, and like some of them you just kind of like sort of like taking a vitamin. You're like, I'm just
Mhm.
doing this like it sort of tastes like chocolate, like
Chalk.
chocolate.
I was going to say very chalky
chocolate.
Yeah.
But barbells are like Snickers bar. Frankly, like they shouldn't be as good as they. I'm dubious on whether they're actually as healthy as they say.
Anybody that I've introduced barbells to feel the same way. Their first thought is, there's no way this can be good for you. And I'm going to, saying that a
It's
protein
high protein.
bar,
It still is like it's a candy bar with high protein.
it's a
Yeah,
treat.
yeah.
It is a treat. But yeah, unlike any other protein bar, that actually tastes like you're eating a straight up just candy bar. And it is delicious. I have to stop myself. I'm not even like a candy person, but those are really good.
So yeah, we found them at Trader Joe's, but now they're starting to be carried at Target, Walmart. I've seen them at GNC. So yeah. So anyway, that's a little shout out.
Apparently, we were all about the food and drink when we were thinking this through.
My dislike is not a food thing though.
Perfect. Give me the dislike.
Long movies. You were out yesterday running some errands, and I watched a movie, and it was like right in the genre of things I would like sort of like a crime thriller kind of movie. And it wasn't that great of a movie, but then I'm just like, I'm watching this movie for a long time, and I click, like you click on the screen to see like how far, and I'm like, I'm not even halfway through this stinking movie after an hour.
I'm gonna be honest. I've actually noticed that just normal length movies are a lot for me now.
Yeah.
I would rather watch a short episode of something than the last couple times we sat down for a movie. I have felt that way shortly in where
It
I'm
feels like I'm doing a chore.
yeah,
Like it's like this
so
is gonna be work
long. Yeah.
for me. I don't know. There are movies that I really enjoy, and I actually like some slower movies, but I don't know, just something about it now. Like if it's not like an epic movie, just make it 90 minutes, please.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Edit that thing down. Watch, this will be like our
Yes.
longest episode ever.
Gosh, yeah. They're like, how about you guys edit?
Yeah.
How about that?
You guys don't know how much I do edit.
All right, so mine is kind of a lame-o, but the thing that popped into my head of things that I'm not liking right now in this season is random injuries that seem to come out of nowhere, because I am trying now to train to actually compete in powerlifting.
That redeemed your whole statement, because I'm thinking about like, I've got an inventory of what we've said so far, and I'm like, this is the most middle age. I like to drink broth, eat protein bars. I hate long movies, and
And injury.
and everything hurts.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not shy about the fact that I'm middle-aged, but no, I really want to do the, like, I'm training for, want to compete, try this like competition for powerlifting. And now those little injuries are kind of a pain because I'm trying to be careful in the process. I want to do this as safely as you can powerlift, I guess. But I'm noticing more and more stupid stuff that I'm like, I just woke up and this thing hurts and I
Yeah.
don't know why. So I don't enjoy it right now. Just being honest.
You sparked a question.
Oh gosh. Yes.
So you are training to do your first competition for powerlifting.
Yes, sir.
Like, can you have can somebody sponsor you, like a business?
I have no idea. I'm not like really educated in it. I'm literally like whatever my coach says, I'm down
I
because
think you
he's
should
the
ask. You
expert.
should ask him if you could have a sponsor. Like, it would be like,
Is
you know,
Slightly Off Script going to sponsor me? Is that
I
what
mean,
we're
it depends on how much it costs, but I mean, our budget, we just try not to lose like any more money than we already are, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that much. But maybe you've already given shout outs to businesses on here, and so
That's true. Maybe someone will sponsor me. I can put your logo on my singlet,
yeah.
which I
Well, like I don't know, the whoever does your eyebrows or your, I don't know, maybe your tattoo person, like it could be a sponsor.
All right.
I'm not saying don't get tattooed with the person's logo, but maybe they can like put it on. Like, this is not like that level of commitment here. This is just,
Okay. I will ask my coach and then I have no idea. But if there's a chance,
well, maybe what we could do with the podcast is we could get a sponsor and we would give the money to charity or something. Like you can pick like a cause that you're being sponsored.
to look for.
So like,
I like that.
yeah. So like you get a sponsor or you, like we could set up different things, and then I have no idea if this will work or if anybody's interested in this, but it's just, the entrepreneurial mind, it just always goes that way.
Apparently.
Yeah.
All that came to mind was Homes of Hope, which is when I built the house in Mexico on that missions team. First of all, love what they do, the organization, but just the idea of lifting and like being a house, you know what I'm saying?
Brick house.
And then my name literally means house of whatever bread, or I'm seeing a theme. See what?
Is it your name means house of bread?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I like carbs so much. So it's literally in my name, all the carbohydrates.
Okay, we're gonna workshop this, and you have a homework assignment now to find out.
Oh gosh.
But,
okay.
yeah, and this will be for charity. This will be like for a cause. Like
Yeah, I like that.
At least the first time. If it goes really well, then we may have to underwrite our podcast, which loses money, but we'll become a charity.
We'll see. Right now, I'm just trying to actually get to the point where I can compete, and then see if I like it.
Yeah.
I could totally bomb. I could bomb on all three lists.
I'll be your business manager. You just leave that department.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I have a feeling you're going to be there at the competition with some sort of like foam finger, and it's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah, I have to think about maybe like a large cutout of your head.
Perfect.
That would be good.
I love that. I'm not inviting you. Just kidding. So differences. I love that we just laid out in time the difference of our personalities. And when I have like, I want to do this powerlifting, and your brain goes right into like, how could we monetize this bad boy?
For
charity. So I really enjoyed, as I've been doing these morning devos, just thinking around this idea of differences, because I think it just resonated with me, because we've talked about this before, not just on the podcast, but we have conversations about sometimes how comical it is, how different we are. But then also the fact I do feel like, not 100% of the time, but a great deal of the time, one of the things I like is that we appreciate each other's differences. And you are somebody that I would say does an incredible job, and I've learned a lot from you in celebrating and empowering my differences. And in some ways, it didn't occur to me until I was doing this study that isn't necessarily an assumed thing in relationships. And based on my reading, this actually can be something that can really tear apart a relationship if you're not intentional with how you approach these things. Like, if you're not intentional in celebrating and empowering and all of that, your really the go-to can be getting frustrated and resentful and everything else with these things that maybe once upon a time were like part of the romantic attraction to one another. So I asked you, and I did this as well, think through what are some of the differences that you first maybe were attracted to when you met me. Or maybe it just wasn't just at the beginning, but I would love to hear what are some of the things that came to mind.
Yeah, the interesting thing when I was thinking through this, like, first of all, I think you do a good job of celebrating my differences as well. So thank you for that. And I feel like that's a mutual thing. I think that part of when I started to process this, I realized is that some of it is like things that I have to do through discipline or I've had to learn to do that come naturally to you.
Hmm.
Because it's not an excuse. Like, so I'll just say like the first one that I wrote down was that you have natural empathy and high EQ. Now, that doesn't mean like a difference is Andy has no empathy and no EQ. I hope not anyway.
No, not at all.
But I do think that it has been something that I've more had to see as like a area of development for myself because I can be very task focused. But for you, like being people focused, that is like your starting point. That's your why. The why is super clear for you from the beginning. I think it showed up a lot in our parenting. That's where we had to really be a team because there are times when I had to kind of be like, I know that you're a bleeding heart here, but we do need to hold the line on X, Y, and Z. And then there were other times when I just really needed your perspective on things. And so, yeah, so I would say the first thing is just you're very natural at like connecting with people and like seeing. I think it's a beautiful thing about the work that you do now where you're interacting with people who have been in the grip of addiction, who often are overlooked and not appreciated. So yeah, that would be the first one I would mention. Does that feel like it fits?
It feels weird to say like, yeah, I'm definitely empathetic and high EQ, but no, I appreciate that observation. It's interesting because I don't see that as a deficit that you have. I feel like you definitely have higher EQ than I think you give yourself credit for.
So
So
the only area that I can think of that's a shadow side to this, and I think that you have grown miles in this. Like there was a time not too long ago where you sent me a text message and we're like, hey, could we have this person come stay with us for a few days? It was like that all heart part. It was like in me, it was like, oh, that's great. But then it was just the timing was not perfect. And there's other things going on in our home and our daughter, like ended up being good that we didn't say yes to that because I think our daughter came home sick that weekend. Yeah, that's the only time that it can be a shadow side is just like not having boundaries might be the way
yeah.
to kind of say that. So
And that was one of the things we talked about as we were just discussing having this conversation about differences is there is the side of celebrating, empowering, all of that. But with every strength, with these differences, there is sort of the gold side of it,
Yeah.
like the really good that comes, but then there is often, if not always, a shadow side to these things and recognizing that even as we choose to celebrate, like there's a choosing to celebrate, but it doesn't mean overlooking when that shadow side can show up. And so that's part of this conversation too is yes, there's good, but then what does that look like?
yeah. Well, in that situation, it's a good example though too, because I could have just been like, that's a dumb idea. That would have been that in some ways that was my instinct. But when I wrote you back, I was just like, well, I think we need to have a conversation about this. And then by the time that conversation came, it had actually resolved itself anyway. So it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So for you, the thing that came up immediately, and I met you, you were my boss, and you were young in leadership in full-time ministry. And I just remember being so attracted to kind of your organizational side of just leadership, and you just had it together. I was like,
In some areas.
what? But no, you were very, very organized. And again, this is what I observed, and this has been true of you. Very different than my personality. I mean, I just think about when I met you, I'm pretty sure I had pink streaks in my hair and I was kind of the crazy wild. And you were just very kind of steady together that, and I was drawn to sort of that stability factor. And is this ring true for you? Be honest.
I mean, my t-shirts might be color coordinated in the closet.
There we go.
And I get really upset when you take one of my t-shirts. I don't mind you borrowing my shirts, but if you leave that black hanger, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, he's not lying. But then we talked about this sort of the celebration of that, right? Like there's real beauty, and you bring and have brought so much stability to sort of my wired for chaos. And the fact that today I have any level of organization, I attribute to honestly what I have learned from you. And that's kind of that, not just the celebration. And you mentioned it, like it wasn't me just being like, well, he's organized and I'm just not. But it was actually being open and willing to learn and grow in that. That's been a huge part of appreciating that difference. But then there's also the shadow side that can,
No.
there is,
Are you kidding?
I know. But the shadow side I listed as when it becomes perfectionism.
Mhm.
And that's been something that we've had to walk through, times when it was beyond just being organized and holding standards that just were not realistic. And so, yeah, some of walking in this journey of differences, that difference specifically for us has been my learning. When are the times that I need to put my own ego aside or whatever? Sometimes it's just laziness, if we're being honest. My own laziness aside, and embrace and utilize your organizational skills, the systems that you put into place that work awesome, like in our home and our family. And then when are the times when, if it is sort of crossing into that shadow side, that I need to stop and be willing to advocate for, hey, I love you. I appreciate your organization, but this is like,
Yeah.
we've crossed over.
I think that the space where this gets gray for me, and this is where like I think I still often struggle to figure out how to navigate, is like I just like staying on top of things around the house like all the time, like probably to the point of annoying you at times, but like let's not leave the laundry in the washer. Like if the dishwasher is full, run it. Like just those kind of things. Like I'm just always, and I think it's my personality. I've also worked from home for over a decade. So like I sort of have this cadence of, well, if you just chip away at these things, then at the end of the day, you don't have to like fold tons of laundry. You can just do that at your lunch break or whatever. Now, where that gets to a rub is that your awareness in those spaces is not as high. And sometimes I hold you this. I mean, this is what perfectionism is that I hold you to the standard that unrealistic standard that I might hold myself to. I've had to learn. There are times when it needs to be a conversation that's just like, hey, could you help me do this? There are other times when it needs to be like, hey, I'm just noticing that you're not noticing. And could you just be a little bit more aware of X, Y, and Z? And I think having realistic expectations is something that I strive for in that. But there are times when I kind of have to be like, hey, could you just be a little bit kind of tuned into this? Is that good?
Yeah, I sense when we're in our healthiest sort of rhythms in this, that a little bit of all of that exists, to be honest. Like there are times when I do feel like I'm attentive because I do notice those
Yes.
things.
Yep.
Like I joke about it, but if you travel, which you don't do as much anymore, but if you travel for multiple days, the house runs differently because we're wired differently. I am not sort of the stay on top. But when you're home, and I sort of more notice in a healthier way noticing, then I do try and sort of follow those rhythms, like grab the laundry, like laundry every day, all of these things. But then in those times when it's busy, and it could just be work, it could be my just being ADHD and not noticing, but I actually have come to appreciate when you're just like, hey, can you help me? Can you help me fold the laundry? Or the conversations, even though they're harder to have been in a healthy place of you just saying, hey, it would mean a lot if you would, I just need you to notice more. Like I'm feeling this weight that I'm the only one paying attention. And I actually feel like you have done a really good job of lovingly addressing those things. That has been, I'm again, helpful to my personality.
Yeah, I don't know who has said it first, but I think it's a brilliant statement, is that unarticulated expectations or unspoken expectations are premeditated disappointments.
Ooh, that's
so
good.
like if you are like, and I know like that rings so true for me because like in my mind, I'm like trying to almost like brainwave you like, oh, notice the thing, like, don't you know?
Yeah.
And that's a premeditated disappointment because like that's an unrealistic expectation of the other person based on one, you not articulating it, two, the differences that we have.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. So my empathy, EQ, your organized, put together. Anything else
I
that?
have two more.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
the second one, and this is something that I recognized about you from when I first met you. high level of adventure and often very open to spontaneity.
Mm,
Like, we'll just go with it. We'll figure it out. I'm not a fearful person, but I am definitely someone who wants to go in with a plan.
yep.
And I've gotten better if the plan doesn't go the way I want to. But you're kind of like, everything's figure outable. Let's just go for it.
I actually love that that's on your list because on mine is that you are a planner. So I
Okay.
like that we're literally hitting those same things. So let's talk through how does that show up? Like, how do we actually balance those things?
It's a good question. I mean, I think we definitely figured it out with with travel. I think we actually have a great cadence. Like when we go on the road and stuff like that. I think a lot of our vacations have been really fun because we kind of create space for each other in that. It's like, okay, we're gonna go in with a plan, but it might be different. And there's been times, and we have jokes about it, where I'm like, all right, I know I'm the planner, but today you're planning today, and that kind of stuff. So we just talk about it. I don't know. What do you think? I'm not having like a great epiphany there at the front. You're like, you have something on the tip of your tongue here. You're ready to go.
No, I was just thinking through, I think a couple of things that I've noticed that have been how these things have come together in a way of appreciating both of our wirings. I think that I've come to appreciate that when you plan adventures, it does not take the thrill out of it that it's not spontaneous. Like
Mhm.
in some ways, I think I idolize spontaneity. Like if it's not spontaneous, it's not romantic, or
Yeah.
if it's not spontaneous, it's not an adventure. But actually, when you're able to plan, you plan the best adventures. And one of the ways I think we have made this work is that because you love planning, you will plan things and intentionally not give me the details on it. And so for me, it feels very spontaneous because I don't have a clue what's happening. But you feel very at rest because you have this planned out. You know what we're doing. And so in some ways, both of our strengths come together and we both have fun in those environments. So
Yeah, for me, research or like looking it's I love that phase in some
yeah.
ways. Like, don't take that away from me. In some ways, the harder times when we've gone on trips have been like when other people have planned them for us. So
Yeah.
I just like to I gotta know how I like to run things. So yeah, no, it's a good one.
No, I think that's been really good. The other thing that you have done in the past is when you didn't necessarily want to plan all of the details of something, is you sort of plan the perimeters of something and then let me
Oh
loose
yeah,
within that. And I would say Jamaica isn't one of those examples where you're like, you have the day, we're going to be there for a day. You get to decide what we do within that day. And now you have since regretted quite those
I mean,
larger
it's a good story.
perimeters.
I knew I'd get a good story to tell. I didn't know that it would be quite as epic as it was, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
But it was fun because honestly, I don't always love to plan, but that like as soon as I saw that,
Yeah.
cliff jumping or jumping off waterfalls and rafting, all of that, I was like,
Yeah. If
I'm
you're
there.
new to the podcast, Bethany planned an excursion on one of our cruises. I let her plan it, and we ended up, it was non-voluntary, jumping off of waterfalls and then this lazy river, which turned into like hyper rapids, and I got flipped over, lost my phone. It was a whole thing. It was quite a
It was
day.
an
It
adventure.
was an
It
adventure.
was not
It's a story.
without adventure. So no, I think
Mhm.
that's one of those differences and choosing not to. So here's sort of the shadow side of that. Again, for me, it could be fighting against your desire to plan and being like, again, sticking to this.
Yeah.
No, we just have to be spontaneous all the time, whatever. For you, it's kind of controlling every detail of everything and just finding that middle ground of me actually really appreciating your skill set in planning and you having, at least I'm speaking for you, but you can reject if you want. I feel like you actually really enjoy secretly planning things that are adventures for me. Like it's fun for you to see me
Yeah.
live out your plan.
Well, I'm sure at some point we'll do a deeper dive on like finances, but one thing that is we've really tried to adopt, I've kind of had this goal for a long time, but now that we're both working, we're able to do it, is that like you have a fund, you basically, we both have a certain amount of money every week that is ours to do with whatever we want to do
We
with
get an
it.
allowance. Like
Yeah.
when you're a kid, it's so fun.
And that has been very freeing because prior to that, there are things that you would want to do that I'm like, it's not an unreasonable request, but I'm also looking at like all these other things that are way more defendable. And
Yeah, none of mine are defendable. My personality is frivolous and
yeah,
whatever.
but in some ways you needed an outlet
Yeah.
because you're working your tail off to have that. So that's just been an interesting way that we've done that, is that every pay cycle, there's a certain amount of money that we both kind of get to, that's our resource to do with what we want to do with it. So
Yeah. I like it.
Plan spontaneity.
Planned spontaneity. It's not a bad idea.
All right. I have one more for you. I think I'm not sipping on yet. I'll hear my
No, I love it.
Your plan.
Let's be real.
All right. This came up already when we did a whole series on conflict, but I feel like you have always been someone who is pretty fearless, not thoughtless, but fearless about having difficult conversations. And sometimes where I think you really like have taught me a lot is sometimes those hard conversations are things that you're confessing, and sometimes there's things that you are confronting. And the fact that both of those things, I feel like you have a certain level of fearlessness about that, is something that is a huge strength, and something that, again, for me is a discipline. I'm not saying that you like never have fear in that, but I just feel like you do it much more naturally than I do.
I don't know if I ever would have pegged that one. I'm not gonna lie, but I appreciate the shout out. I'll have to think about that. I honestly, I'm gonna give the shadow side to it. Can I?
Go ahead.
Because immediately what comes to mind is that I feel like I need to do a blanket apology to so many people. As I was growing up, I feel like this was part of my personality that made it hard for me ever to have friends, because I did not filter. I was that kid that would confront kids at an age where nobody was confronting their friends.
Okay.
And with no tact or grace or love, I have so many horrifically embarrassing memories in my brain that flood of me confronting my friends about things as a kid. That was just, it's so awkward to think back. So in some ways I'm grateful hearing you say that, because I'm like, maybe God's redeeming
I think
that awkward quality.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know why I was that way as a kid, but
Well, just
yeah.
because you're like naturally drawn to it doesn't mean that you always do it right.
Yeah.
Like,
well, let me tell you, as a kid, I think I rarely did it right, but it was weird. It was a weird trait when you're 12 and 13 and your friends, they're all just doing their thing, and you're the one that's like, why are you doing that? You're being an idiot. Like, it didn't make me cool. I was not a cool kid. That's a big part of it. I'm sorry, anyone. No one listens.
yeah. I think that this has been one of the things, though, that has helped us, having young adult children, to be able to, like, you've really, I feel like, provided a lot of leadership in how to navigate these years of adolescence where your kids are making big decisions on, where to go to school and how much money to spend and relationships and all those things, where like we've been able to maintain a real strong level of relationship with our kids. And I think that part of it is that they have seen throughout the faithfulness of your walk with Jesus, but also your willingness to be able to talk about things that are not easy to talk about. So yeah, I appreciate that about you.
I think somewhat what's always been in my head is this idea. I feel this a lot if I'm in rooms with people, that there's something that's not being said. And my brain always thinks, even if we say it, like, let's just get it out there and we can deal with whatever it is. But to me, I feel like I've seen way more damage done by not saying things that should have been said than by people who say things wrong. I don't know. And that's not to say everyone. That's just, I've seen a lot of that, and being willing to have honest conversations with the desire not to hurt people, but is like, if we're ever going to have real relationship and real forgiveness or whatever it is, we have to put it all on the table. Otherwise, there's just something missing there. If we're just pretending, we're covering things up, we're hiding the elephant in the room. So
I think one thing that's really interesting about what we brought up is you having entered back into the workforce here and having this new job. It's been a fascinating journey, because I think the foundation of empathy was like why you like the work that you do. However, when you got into this workplace, you quickly realized that you were the organizer, which almost seems counterintuitive for you. So how have you kind of processed that reality internally in terms of like how God has grown you? What are your strengths? Like, how have you had to process that?
That is a really good question. I don't know that I have fully processed it. The fact that
It's still new. I
I still
understand that. Yeah.
giggle anytime someone at work says, well, because you're the organized one, so we need you. It just still makes me laugh. But to be honest, some of it has made me reflect on our marriage, on the things that I have learned from you that I don't even think I recognize that I've learned and grown in, which is a lot of organization and systems. You are probably my top teacher of the importance of systems. And I think I have learned through you that in some ways you've taught me. I think I used to not avoid, but systems and organizations freaked me out because it felt like it fought against my just that internal desire for people. And it almost is like you can't have both, is sort of what I felt for a long time. Like I can't love people and love systems. And one of the things that I've learned through you, and I've coming into this job and I'm recognizing it more than ever, is that systems actually free you up to love people even better.
Mhm.
And it gives you more bandwidth to reach more people. And there's so much that I didn't recognize that I have grown and learned until now I'm put in this position where I have to implement those things. Like I couldn't do this job if I wasn't implementing systems. And so, yeah, it's been kind of a comical thing because it still makes me laugh, but not that you were like searching for a compliment, but I'm
That
just
was
throwing
not.
it.
That was not
I
the point
know,
of this.
but truthfully, it's me. I think all the time, I'm like, it's funny because I often am like, man, you should meet my husband. I've thought often that you and my job, like you could do this 10 times better in terms of systems. But I also recognize that part of the beauty and what God has done is my job needs both from me.
Yeah.
It needs the empathy that God's wired me with and the EQ and all of those things and the systems that I have learned through being married to you and even just the books that you have pointed me towards and all of that, that this is kind of a beautiful combination of those two things. Like I could be great at systems, and if I didn't have empathy, I would not be able to do this job. So,
Well, a couple things to say. First of all, super proud of you, as you know, of how you're doing at this job. The second thing is, though, I think part of what I had to learn, like if you have a strength that kind of like when something comes naturally, like I remember in high school, I had a physics teacher who was brilliant, but could not teach because everything came so naturally to them
mm,
that they didn't understand how to. And for me, I've had to kind of unlearn some things to be able to help other people in these areas. And a lot of what I've come to is so simple. Like, it's like, why would you not realize this? But I have been much more careful this last decade when mentoring, coaching, and even with you to be able to be like, here's some ideas of ways to solve this, but you need to figure out what's going to work for you. Like you need to have a way to keep track of your tasks. I can show you how I do that, but I don't think that if you're not wired like me, this is actually going to be a straitjacket, and that's good where systems can be. So I think somebody I talked to one time talked about how a very entrepreneurial church that's multi-site, and they said we have to build human systems. They just talked about that, and so because if it only works for one person, and even in your environment, like when you're leading a team of people, you have to try to think about what's going to work, not just best for me, but what's going to work best for this team and what people actually will do. Which
yeah.
so. And you've gotten really good at that because you are trying to think about not just how to solve the problem, but how to solve the problem in a way that works for everybody there. So that's just a really, really interesting thing.
Yeah. And I think the encouragement too, as a married couple, to allow yourself space to grow in the areas that you see as strengths in your spouse that you may think of as this is just not how I'm wired. I do think part of marriage is God brings people, like they bring us together, and for me, a lot of this growth that has come through being married to you has been choosing that growth versus just being perpetually annoyed and frustrated that, oh my gosh, because honestly, that could be part of it, is
Yeah.
I could every single day just get annoyed that why do we have to put laundry in every single day, just whatever it is, to just for it to become an annoyance versus choosing this appreciation of I go to work every day and I come home to fold laundry because you have literally put the laundry through each day. I never wake up. I literally never wake up in the morning unless you're traveling for multiple days and wonder, do I have gym clothes clean? Do I have work clothes clean? Like there's always that sort of positive side, but choosing to sort of press into that and to be willing again to grow in that. Like for me, it's working within your systems has helped me to appreciate and grow in even how I create things like that.
I'd color it with one last statement here is that part of how you enjoy each other's differences is being the humility to say, this doesn't matter as much to me as it does for you, but because it matters to you, I'm going to really work hard at it.
Yeah.
And there are things that we both have had to, again, I don't think these are huge sacrifices, but like, hey, you're invited to my Christmas party for my workplace. Honestly, like that's not something for me that I'm like, wow, I just really hope that I get to go and meet Bethany's coworkers. But I was like, there is a value there. And then second, it's like, no, I need to show up in this space because this matters to Bethany. And so I think that with a lot of our differences, it's that showing of deference. Like you said, like, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to lose any sleep if the laundry's not done. However, if that matters even more than I think it should to you, I'm going to enter into that and meet you in it. So yeah, but you have to find systems. Again, we've worked a lot in different things in our home where it's like, I've had to learn to have reasonable expectations as well.
That's it. It's the healthy side of it too. It's, again, coming back to beware of the shadow sides.
Yeah.
This isn't about just letting somebody like live in the shadow side of these things. However, also pressing into celebrating the strength in these things that are different from who we are. Like you have a lot of things that you are incredible at that are just, like you said, some of them I just don't hold the same value, but some of them just not only don't come naturally to me, but are very difficult for me. And so being able to appreciate those and what they bring, because we wouldn't be who we are in this home and everything else without what both of us bring to the table.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. I love you and all your differences.
I appreciate you.
This is such a sappy. I also love that this is the one that you're like, I'm just going to let you roll with it. And it's so much more my personality of like, no outline. We're just kind of free conversation. And it's different, but that's who we are.
We'll see how it is once I get done editing.
I do feel bad. I was like, but you still have to edit it. But it's fine. It's fine. No, I appreciate you. And honestly, part of this is I would love for those people who listen, especially our married listeners, that sometimes having good intentional conversations around our differences and because this brought it up for us, like, okay, what are those things and how are we intentionally celebrating them and or supporting them? And it's a good reminder to me just in the day-to-day. Fold the laundry, things like that.
Speaking of which, just kidding.
I need to go fold the laundry.
Well, thanks for leading this episode.
My pleasure.
How can people connect with?
Oh, they can follow us on the socials. We love for anytime you share, it's helpful for us because you know people we don't know.
That really is, with a podcast, that's the only way it really grows, is people share with other people.
Yeah.
So if there's an episode that made a difference to you, share with someone from your small group or something like that. That's really how this happens.
I'm giving our friend Jeremy like triple bonus points on the share because he shared even like had a clip of the podcast. Like he kind of went all out. So mad shout out to Jeremy, which would be hilarious if he then clipped this one. And I don't have to pay to hang out with Jeremy, just his wife. Jeremy's
He bought me lunch last week, so that's a pretty good deal. So yeah.
Okay. So literally in the reverse. That's fine. We love them both though. So yeah, appreciate when you share. The other thing is just writing in and asking questions. That helps us with the direction and future
What
episodes.
have we not talked about? What have we said a little about that you want to know more about? That makes
well, according to recent listens, people want us to talk more about sex because when you said it on a podcast, I've gotten more responses to people
Nobody wrote me about that. That's
So
really
like
wild.
Andy said sex on the internet. Yeah. Could different in personality. If I had said it, they'd be like, yeah, not surprised. But you said it and they were like, what is happening?
Yeah, we've debated. We will do some talk about that. It's just a matter of like, how do we do that internet friendly? Yes.
Yep. So I won't be leaving that one.
All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Bye.